Today what we're going to try to do is we're going to put a Rabbets in the back of what's a simulated medicine cabinet. We're going to inset a piece of plywood in here. We're going to, like I say, we're going to create Rabbets all the way around the outside using a small trim router. This is 6mm Baltic birch, which is around 1/4 of an inch. That's what we're going to use. Because they're small machines, is what we're going to do is we're going to do this in a series of 3 cuts. First pass I want to be a little bit more than 1/3 of the way up the thickness of the material here. First thing I want to do is I want to take a piece of scrap. I want to run a test piece on it just to make sure everything's working okay. I got the depth set right, and I can work on my speed controls and everything else. So I'll fire it on. Okay, that runs really well. I want to make sure that I'm flat on the piece when I do it. On this particular box, I'm actually going to be doing it up on the edge, which makes it a little harder to balance, but we'll get there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the inside of the box. So if I'm on the outside of a piece like this one here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move in the direction that you read. So I'm going to move from left to right if I was to do the outside of this box. So if I was to do it here, is I would come in this way, and I would come up the side and all the way around, work in that direction. What happens is you go counterclockwise on the inside of that. Okay, if you have something that's inside like this, okay, you're actually going to go just the opposite. So what I'm going to do is explain it. I'm going to unplug this first. Okay, and what I want to do is, like I say, if I'm moving in this direction, I go counterclockwise to go around the piece. I never put my hand in front of it in case it ever jumps forward. I don't want to get it caught up in the bit. Also, in here, I don't want to get it anywhere here because now your cutter's wide open. So I don't want to put it down on a sheet like this. I want to shut it off, wait till it winds down, and then I can put it on its side. I want to make sure I never ever turn it towards myself because it could cut my clothes. Okay, and like I say, if you're going to the outside, you go counterclockwise. If you go to the inside, whether it's a square like this, whether it's a circle in the center of a piece, or it's some kind of oddball shape, okay? Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna go clockwise. And it may not seem to make any sense, but as this bit turns, you can see here, this is the cutting face here. This is what does the cutting. As it comes around like that, and it spins in this direction, if I'm moving in here, I wanna be pushing that face in the direction of the wood to do it properly. So on this way, like I say, you go counterclockwise. On the inside, if you look here and if I do the same thing, blade's still rotating the same way, I end up going counterclockwise. Okay? I'm still moving the same way as I'm moving here. But what's happened is I'm going in the opposite direction to keep the cutter in the place that I need it. So on the outside, you're moving counterclockwise. Inside, you're moving clockwise on a handheld router. Here on my piece, I'm getting ready to router it out. This here down here, it's been referred to as a router mat. It secures the piece so I don't need a clamp. If I have another piece that I have put beside it, you might have noticed it was underneath this piece too. It just keeps it secure. So I don't need the clamps, and the clamps aren't in my way. Okay, so I'm gonna do the inside of the circle. Remember, I'm gonna go clockwise. I'm always gonna start in the corner, and I'm gonna move my way in. Because you'll have a narrow ledge here, it's going to be a little bit tippy. Takes a little bit of practice, and I'm just going to make my way all around, and then I'm going to adjust for the second depth. I'm going to get better balance if I move into the corner and do the corner first. And I want to go in as deep as I can so that the bearing here touches up against this surface. If it does that, it's going to set the depth of my cut. If I notice I come down and I've come out, I can just rerun it again. And it will, it'll just, as long as I push it up against the bearing, sort of like that there, it'll give me my full depth. If I come off, then it's going to be shallow, and I can just I can go over it again. For balance purposes, if you come up high and you run the router like this, it's going to feel a lot more tippy. So what you can do is go midway. Don't go around the front and wrap your fingers in where the cutter is. You stay behind that opening here. So you're going to come in, you're going to start, you're going to make sure that that this isn't touching up against the piece because it will jump and it'll chip out on you. So you're just going to come in, you're going to ease in, and then you're going to go all the way around. What happens here, because I have a knot, it's going to hit that and it's going to deviate in there. This is on the back of my project, so I wouldn't really care. I could always fill it with epoxy, but it would be more ideal to do it on that side, but that probably is my face that I want to keep outward. So I'll fire it up and off we go. The bearing will follow whatever is in front of it. So if it's a crooked surface and it's all wavy like this, the route is just going to follow it. It fell into that hole there, so you can see how it created a little deviation there. Okay, this is going to be hidden in behind if I was to do that. It wouldn't be that big a deal, but you got to make sure that if it has a knot, that the knot stays solid, or you have to fill the knot in. So what we're doing is we're going to set the second one for about 2/3 the distance of the ply. I've set it up so that it's just a hair, and I mean just a hair above the plywood, and I'm going to run a test cut just to make sure. I know I've got a perfect fit if my nail just catches on it, and I know that it's just below the surface. Nail catch.